Ping pong. Probably my favorite table-based activity. I've loved it ever since I was a little kid and my grandpa taught me how to play it. I got this table about 3 years ago, but you know, I think after watching the women's table tennis finals at the Olympics, I got super inspired to give this thing an upgrade. So today I'm combining my love of ping pong with my love of art and customizing this ping pong table. Okay, so before we go any further, I'm gonna take a bunch of photos of this thing.
I'm stuck in space, got a daydream running through my brain every day.
Okay, I got the photos of the table, which means I can start my design process. But while I do that, I'm gonna have Nick come in with the sander. We also need to take very accurate measurements of where the lines are on the top of the table so that we can reapply them after the paint job. So I'm gonna do some art, he's gonna do some sanding. Let's go.
I like it the way I move. I like it the way I move. I like it the way I move. I like it the way I do. I like it the way I move.
I wanted to do my version of a Japanese lucky cat on this ping pong table. So I got my reference image loaded up into Fresco and started sketching. These little cats are so iconic, and you know, you need good luck to win these ping pong games.
I just wanna shake it out. Turn my weekend upside down all the way. Ooh.
Okay, concept art's complete. Black, gray, orange, little bit of maroon. Very bold, graphic, hopefully iconic. I've actually been wanting to do some apparel with the Lucky Cat design on there. Hoodie, crew neck sweater, maybe some joggers. So I figured if I design something very bold and graphic for this ping pong table, it's super easy to translate it over to apparel design. So keep your eye out for those coming soon. But this is gonna be super sick. I'm really excited about the way this is gonna look. Okay, these tables are all sanded now, thanks to Nick and Nikki. And I think what I'm gonna do next is gesso the top of these to get them ready to be painted. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, 1000, you're adding gesso, you're adding paint. How is that gonna change the bounce of the ping pong ball? And I'll tell you right now, I have no idea. We'll see if it changes the way the ball interacts with the table. In the end, I hope it doesn't, but I also want a cool painted ping pong table, so I'm just gonna go for it. I have no idea if gesso is the best option to prepare this surface to be painted, but you know what, if it's good enough for all my other art projects, it's good enough for my custom ping pong table. My first layer of gesso is down. Now let's sand these things smooth and put a second layer on there. Let's play the frame game. I love you. First thing I'm gonna do is probably give these guys a nice little soapy bath, make sure I get all that dust off of there. Then I'm gonna lay down the first layer of paint and slowly transform this frame so it matches the design on top of the table a little bit better. We want this to be a cohesive package. I loaded up all my frame pieces on this cart and brought them over to the bathing station. I swear this janitor's sink is one of the best things I've installed in my YouTube studio. So handy. Let me get down. I wanted to get all these frame pieces nice and clean and dust-free before I drop the first layer of paint on there. Next, I spaced out all the pieces on a bunch of tables so I would have room to paint them. I primed every piece with white spray paint so that whatever color I did decide to put on there would just shine super bright. Now, I want to paint this, surprise, surprise, orange. God, that's so me. Orange. Who would have guessed? But I gotta figure out what orange. That's why I'm lucky that Nick made this Montana spray paint color chart with all the colors laid out here. And I think the orange that I want is red orange. Since my concept art is inspired by these Chinese, Japanese, Maneki-neko lucky cats, the color that I chose for the frame is inspired by these Japanese gates, and they're often seen in this traditional red-orange color. Well, hot diggity damn, y'all. This weekend was productive. I got my frame all orangified. That's all pretty much done. Just a few more things to go on that. These panels were super hard to lift up on this little shelf here by myself. They are way heavier than you would think, but I got that done. They've been gessoed, they've been sanded, spray painted the background white. It's finally time to actually start on the artwork on the tabletop, and I am very excited for this part. We need to figure out how to orient these like an actual ping pong table and prop them up vertically so that I can project my art onto them, which is a task in and of itself and a task that we are going to attempt to do right now. Since this ping pong table already has some nifty brackets on the back, we decided to take some pieces of wood and kind of just screw them together to make the table stick together so that I could paint on it without it coming apart and have my design get all skewed. You know what I haven't done yet since I painted this thing is the bounce test. Let's see how this table behaves now that I've like gessoed it and spray painted it. That feels pretty good. Feels like a ping pong table. I mean, I'm still gonna matte medium this and paint it and then maybe matte medium it again and varnish it, but we'll see if that changes it. But so far, so bouncy. I grabbed my matte medium and hit the whole table with a layer of this stuff to seal in the spray paint and make it a lot easier to put my sketch up and to use acrylic paints on the top of it and just prepare the surface in general. Next, we put together this portable wall so I would have a surface to lean the tabletop on, and then we engaged in a team building exercise of lifting this thing up. Okay, that was hard. This is very heavy. It's horizontal, which is not the best thing. My artwork is kind of vertical, so I just have to kind of tilt my mind sideways and look at the piece of art sideways, even though it's not supposed to be viewed that way. That's going to be an interesting challenge, but this is the art setup, and now I am ready to project and actually start painting this thing. Very exciting moment. Round of applause. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay, let's get started. Getting the projector lined up correctly with the tabletop was a task in and of itself. Once we got the projector kind of close to the position, I actually used the transform tools in Photoshop to kind of skew my image to line up correctly with the four corners. And finally, the image was in place so I could start tracing my concept sketch onto the surface. In this piece of art, the text on the sunglasses says 1000, the text on the ping pong paddle says lucky, and the text in the bottom left corner says champion. This lucky cat has a bunch of spirals like in the eyes and on the belly, because maybe it's like hypnotizing you into thinking you're more lucky than you actually are. And if I can nail the execution on this piece, I think the ping pong table is going to look really cool. Oh yes, look at these beautiful lines. I have done my projection. I got my lines all up here, and it's finally time to start painting this thing. Super exciting. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's start painting. While I lay down the first strokes of this artwork, I'm gonna let you know this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is a website where you can build a website. It's super easy to build a website with Squarespace because they have these amazing templates, and all you gotta do is drop your awesome content into their beautiful templates and boom, you got a website. I use Squarespace to run my entire online shop. It looks great, it performs great, and it's the centerpiece to my business. And if you ever run into any issues, they have 24/7 customer support. So what are you waiting for? It's time for you to have a beautiful website. Go to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And then when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/1000 for 10% off the first purchase of a website or domain. All right, I'm done with the orange now. Now I will move on to the gray shadows of the white areas. Just working this thing out color by color. Let's keep it pushing, baby. This piece of artwork is the closest I've ever kept my painting to the original digital illustration. I'm doing those exact hard shadows like I do when I illustrate in fresco. The lines, the colors are all nearly identical, and it's kind of a new style for me when it comes to painting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that all my paint in the background is laid down, it's done, it's looking good. Very excited about that. Who's excited? Me! And now it's time to move on to the most fun part, the black lines. I got my Posca paint markers here. I'm about to drop these graphic black lines onto this table, and it's gonna be bold, and it's gonna be popping, and I am pumped. So, without further ado, let's finish this tabletop. I had to be super careful and meticulous with this whole artwork. The white background was provided by the white spray paint I initially used. So if I had any mess ups or drips or incorrectly drawn lines, I couldn't just go in there with white brush paint. I'd have to tape everything off and respray it, because the white paint from the bottle would have a different color and sheen than the white spray paint from the can. So needless to say, the whole time I was trying to be super careful not to put any marks where I didn't want them. I took it slow and got into this flow state with my black lines. Piece by piece, chunk by chunk, line by line, the artwork with this final step of the line art came to life in the most incredible way. All right, I think the artwork is done, and man, oh man, am I feeling this one. I really like the way this piece is looking. Now I'm gonna try and do the meticulous, precise task of getting the lines back on the top of this table.
It's just 3/4 inch from the outside all the way around. The entire table is 60 inches wide. So if you mark 30 inches, that's your center line, and then base all of your measurements off of that on both sides.
I busted out some rulers and some pencils and very carefully drew some guidelines of where these outer lines are gonna go on this ping pong table. I really don't wanna mess up at this stage in the game. It's kind of hard to get two pieces of tape to meet up perfectly in the corner, and then you have to bust out the razor blade and everything. So what I did was I cut up these stickers to make little corner pieces, and I'm just gonna tuck them right there, and then we'll go with tape after the sticker's down. I wanna make sure that my lines are really crisp and not all splotchy. So on top of the tape right here, I'm gonna lay down this matte medium. Hopefully that will dry and create like a barrier so that the paint can't seep into those cracks because it's been sealed off. Hopefully this works. Now let's add these outer lines. Yo, this is my new favorite art hack. Putting matte medium on your tape to create clean lines. So good, it works so good. I'm gonna throw some clear coat on my orange frame here. Yo, this footage right here is pretty much a lie. I was clear coating the frame for about 5 minutes, but behind the scenes, my fearless employee, Nikki, was doing coat after coat on this frame. Oh yes, last but not least, it's time to throw some golden spray varnish on top of this artwork, seal it off, protect it, the final step of the artwork, and then we get to put this ping pong table back together and play. Let's do this. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, bounce test. After all this has been painted, let's see if this thing still bounces okay. We looked up the rules online, and when you drop the ball from 30 centimeters, it should bounce back up to 23 centimeters. And after doing some conversion, basically, I wanna drop it from about the 6. If I drop it from the 6, it should make it up to about the 8. Let's see. Oh yeah. I think we're still in regulation, baby. Okay, so now that the bounce test has been done, there's 2 things left to do. One is, if you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe while you're down there. And 2 is to show you guys the final sexy shots. Ping pong. You gotta be faster. 3, 2, 1. Ping pong.
Can I do another one?
Yeah, I gotta try to not laugh. 1. Ping pong. I blinked too. 2, 1. Ping pong. You beamed me. Ping pong. Ping pong. I think you got it.
That one got like it lifted your glass. Your glasses were like.